That was amazing. I'm telling you right now, that was definitely worth all the work.
Hey, in this episode, we did so much on the 240. It's just incredible what I got done this week. I got the front lip on the car. I got the side skirts on the car. I even did a suspension upgrade finally. Man, I'm telling you, I did so much. I got the rear subframe out. Listen, I'm not gonna tell you everything. You gotta watch the video. Check it out. All right, so check it out. We finally get to put on some really cool stuff. I saw this build this guy had, and man, I'm telling you, this thing looks so amazing. So I had to buy this lip. So this should be really nice. I don't really care for fiberglass body kits because they really never fit right, honestly. This is gonna need to be set on here like this. Let's get some clamps. This lip is kind of folded down, it looks like. I think if we put this in the center, maybe. Now we will put this one up over here. Oh, that's gonna need to come way up front more. We wanna try to make the edge here nice and flush so it looks like it came that way. That's the kind of key, is just take the time and get this thing lined up right. But I think we can kind of shift this whole thing slightly this way, just a smidge. I'm gonna move it, I'm gonna look at it. That is looking better. Yeah, what you wanna do is there's kind of an edge like this right here. We wanna get that nice and lined up all the way around. Oh my God, let me show you what this looks like. Check it out. Look at how nice that looks on there. Tell me that isn't just a banger, man. Wow, look at the fitment on that. So check it out. I was looking for some bolts and I found the perfect size for this. These are M8s and they're gonna fit perfectly in that hole. That way they're nice bolted on. I can remove them later on and it's gonna be solid. And you know what's even crazier? I bought these for the last build and I didn't even use them. I bought like a big bin and I literally have 8 and that's exactly what I need. So I'm gonna drill a hole, I'm gonna drill a 5/16 hole, which should fit that nicely, and then I'm gonna be able to bolt it up. And I'm gonna just go around, because see, I'm in a small garage. I don't have a ton of extra tools. I have like 4 of these little clamps, and I'm using 3 of them on this front bumper. So I can't even use them to hold my side skirts on to make adjustments. So I literally have to do this before I can even do the side skirts. And let me tell you something. While we were talking, I just installed the first one. So now let me do the other 7. Okay, so I have these beautiful ISR manifolds and I have to see if they fit. I'm not mounting them in permanently because we're probably gonna pull the motor out to put the tranny in, but I wanted to see if you could put them in just like this, and it looks like I gotta pull off that one spark plug, and then it looks like I should be able to. So let's go ahead and do that. Perfect. It's also got this beautiful ISR logo there, which is so nice. Looks like we would need to stick it in with the motor. So good thing we're pulling the motor out. But look at these are beautiful. Oh my gosh, I can't wait. Look at how nice these are. I mean, the welds are, oh man, second to none. Got the O2 bung already in there. I was curious about that. I was like, am I gonna have to weld an O2 bung on there? All right, so the passenger side goes in, no issues. I think we could probably finagle the driver's side in if we just took out the rack. Yeah, 100%. If I took the rack out, I would definitely have enough space. So I think you can put it in if you needed to. I'm pulling the motor anyway to hook that big transmission up to it. So no big issue. But at least it's in there. Now, of course, I can't put these dirty bolts in there. We're gonna need to clean these off. All right, before we get started, we're gonna go ahead and clean this up. Let's see what we can do with just buffing it though, really. Oh, that's way too much compound. Let's put a little compound on here, a little compound on here, a little compound on here. Now let's see what we can do. Well, that's nice. Oh yeah. That's gonna be beautiful. So check out just how beautiful these taillights turned out. I thought I was gonna have to buy new ones or something like that, but man, these things turned out just amazing. That Milwaukee buffer, man, I'll tell you what, that thing works amazing. Even a guy like me can buff stuff out without burning it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna place a jack under here so it kind of holds some of the weight after I break all these nuts loose. and then we can tap it down to kind of break that ball joint loose. Let's go ahead and break that loose. Is where you're gonna fall in love with power tools. Because I'm telling you right now, once you change all this suspension stuff out with power tools, you will never go back to using hand tools. 100%, you can do it with hand tools. You will 100% be happier doing this with power tools. Let's get a pickle fork in here. Go, got that out now. Man, that was a lot of work to get that out. A lot more than I expected, honestly. I tried beating it out. I tried using the pickle fork. The pickle fork separated, but by the time I had beat out the top of it so bad, I had mushroomed that nut on there. And somehow it got locked on the thread, so, I mean, because I was desperate, so never do that again. 17 and 18 millimeter for these front ones. So after looking at it, what I realized is if I push the steering rack all the way in from this side, it rotates that little knuckle past the bolt and allows me nice access, so you don't have to take that steering rack out after all. Now, the only thing left to remove on this is where the sway bar link is. There we go. So we'll work this thing out. Because if you notice right there, it's got a big gouge in it. Let me show you. You wouldn't have known unless you got underneath the car and looked. So I found it because I wanted to take out these two bolts, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can't get to this bolt. Well, that I don't feel is very safe to kind of, you can definitely press it out. If this was a really classic like Mercedes, like a Gullwing, of course they would press it out, weld it, and do all that, but it's just safer to replace it. And you know, safety is a big issue with me. So let's match this up with the new one, and then we're good to go, and we'll put it in. Yeah, it looks pretty close to me. I measured them earlier, but I just like to check, you know? And the way I'm going on it is it's showing this like this. So this would be like this, essentially. Now my only recommendation is if these boxes, this is an ISR front, if these boxes had a QR code that would link me directly to the manual for it, the installation kind of instructions. And gkteck, they have some of the funniest installation videos. Who is ever doing those? Man, I tell you what, your stuff is funny. You really, I mean, you're so funny. I love it, you know. We got to straighten out this, bend this back just a touch. It's got a little bit of a bend in it. And I want to clean in there while I got this all apart. I know it seems like I'm always cleaning, but it just, I used to not, and I used to always kick myself for it later on. I do about a, I would say, about a 95% job cleaning it. I think I'm gonna go run and get me some end links for the sway bar links too, because those look kind of janky. I think it's worth it to do the little bit of extra work on that. All right, so plasma cutters are something that you don't really think about using so much, but it makes so much easier work, you know? So I could, of course, cut this with a saw, but this plasma cutter just makes everything so much easier to me. So the problem with some plasma cutters are that if you're not running them on a dedicated circuit, they will trip the breaker because they really require a single thing on that breaker, because if they don't, they trip. There we go. Now that gives us access to that bolt that we wanted. A simple 1, 2, 3 bolt job, and then these two. So you're looking at 5 bolts, 6 bolts. So 6 bolts took about 2 or 3 hours to take off because of that stupid spindle nut that I messed up. So I got the pickle fork for the air hammer, which makes all that nice and simple for the other side. The other side should go along fast. But let's go ahead and get these nasty parts out of here. And this we'll save for some other S14 user. And this we will put in the trash bin. I gotta keep it nice. This is way too pretty. This stuff is just way too pretty. I have never put this much nice new stuff on a vehicle, and it's just too nice. Now these sway bars should give us a little bit more angle for our dangle. The smallest one is 24 millimeter, in case you're wondering. And that looks basically perfect, honestly. Yeah, you can see they're basically the same exact length. So what I'm doing is I'm putting this curve to the inside, so that gives the tire more clearance, and putting this offset to the inside, so that moves it further away from the tire also, so it gives you a little bit more clearance. Now, before I put it in though, I'm gonna go ahead and just match up the other side so I don't have to do all this again. And then of course, we gotta clean up this bolt. Now, I did pick up something from the store. It's gonna make this whole bolt cleaning thing a lot faster, I feel, and won't mess them up in the process. Because I used to do it wrong, and now I have a better solution. I mean, you can always soak them in a bolt cleaner, but I think that's a little bit excessive. Man, that's like full lock there. Need a new, more brake line on there, I think, to get. Definitely, I think that's definitely gonna be full lock now though. So now we wanna measure this sway bar just to make sure that it's the right size. It should be 27 millimeter. You never really know when there's a bunch of work done to a car, so yep, it's 27 millimeter. All right, we'll go ahead and order the energy suspension kit. Be nice. I think I'm gonna get the red one. Yeah, I think I'll get the red one. They have a red and a black one. Which one do you think I should get? The car's gonna be red. I think it'll be nice. There's a lot of black underneath here. And I think black, it would just kind of fade away. You wouldn't really notice that it's even new. We'll go with the red. Good call. I'm gonna try using these little jaws here. If you can see, what they do is when you pump this up, they sort of spread open. And then when you release the valve, they close. So I'm gonna do this to kind of fix this subframe that kind of looks like you kind of curbed it. Somebody curbed it a little bit, so we'll see if that'll do it. I think it might. Just gotta spread it out just a little bit. I imagine I'm gonna have to do this a few times. And I imagine each time I do it, it's gonna get a little bit better. That looks pretty good. I definitely made that much better than what it was. Man, that worked out like a champ.
That was amazing. I'm telling you right now, that was definitely worth all the work.
All right, now let's open this box. Now the next thing that we gotta do, that's a fun thing. I got some good neighbors. I waved to all of them, by the way. Even if they are not so friendly, I don't care. I kill them with kindness. Because every 240 needs side skirts. I mean, every kind of car that is a modern car, they all have side skirts. You know? I mean, now this smells like straight up fiberglass. Oh, it is. So fiberglass is not nearly as good as like that right there, which is like a flexible kind of urethane, I think, or some sort of plastic essentially, right? Because that's flexible. So when you get a little bump or something like that, it flexes. The problem with fiberglass is that after time it gets rigid. And when it becomes rigid, it starts to crack. And especially being low down there, that's why you see a lot of these cheap body kits on cars that look really, really beautiful and they have cracked paint. It's not the paint that cracks usually. I mean, technically it's the paint that cracks, but what's happening is the fiberglass underneath is all cracked up. Now boy, these are fresh out the mold, man. They're still kind of sticky even. Wow. Boy. I wonder how many of these things they make. I wonder if they make them to order almost, you know, like with some fast drying stuff. I mean, it would make sense, you know, just keep like one set on hand and then make them as you need them. But man, I mean, that makes me itch just looking at it, you know. I think this has got to be the passenger side. Now, the biggest issue with fiberglass that I found, or any kind of cheap kits, is this layer right here on here. This is what's called a release agent. So whenever they're making fiberglass parts, what they do is they make a mold and they spray this sort of thing in there, and then they lay the fiberglass in it. And that thin layer is a release agent, which releases this from that so the fiberglass doesn't bond to it. Okay, now the thing is it's a really dumb system. And I don't mean like the system, I mean, I guess it's a dumb product, right? Because only job it's supposed to do is just release whatever on top to what's on this. So if you don't remove all of this, whenever you paint, that release agent's still working. It still wants to release the paint that you put on top of there. So you have to remove all of the release agent, which you can feel this, and if you didn't know better, you would just kind of sand and paint this, and that's where the real problem would be. So let's stick this on the passenger side. All right, let's get the driver's side open. You also want to be very careful when you're doing this because you don't want to mess up and cut your body work, because if you're not the guy doing the body work, they're going to charge you for all that extra labor for fixing your mistake. So just take your time when you're unwrapping all these things. Make sure your edges are still nice. You know, you can see this isn't exactly the best body kit, but you know, you get what you pay for. I forget what this was, but it was pretty cheap. I think the front lip and the side skirts was only around $400, which is pretty cheap. It's not like, what's that one? Liberty Walk. It's not like their products, you know, they make really nice products, and this isn't that quality. This is just, this is Liberty Crawls, or more like communism walks. Maybe this is, since that's Liberty Walk, this is more like, we're gonna call these communism walks, because these are not very good. So the other thing is you always want to test out your body fit before, all the body fit before you do any painting. A lot of people just put this stuff on, and then they pray to God that it works. And they wonder why their body kits don't fit right. And, well, you get what you get, you know what I mean? Boy, this just fits so tight. Boy, that's a snug fit though, I tell you. Boy, oh boy. Let's fit that on there. We'll see. This has to go in there. Yeah, we're gonna need to trim this up in here. I feel like that's not right. What do you think? Man, that's looking good though. Can make that work. I think we grind a little bit out of here so this goes in a little more flush. If we go ahead and leave this like this for now, it's getting kind of late in the day, and I don't really want to make my neighbors mad. You have to be mindful of your neighbors. Don't be out here grinding. I live in an HOA, so don't be out here grinding too early in the morning, too late at night. So it's Thursday, and I get my transmission. Well, I'm not going to tell you that till the end of the video. So, yeah, we might have ordered a bigger transmission, a little better one. Okay, so yesterday I marked this where I need to grind it out to contour with this body line. So let me go ahead and hit that real quick. Now, working with fiberglass, you want to wear a mask because this stuff gets everywhere. All right, so now that I've got that kind of squared away, I'm gonna just put some 80 grit on a stick here. And you can just use simply a sheet of 80 grit, but I picked up this roll because, well, I'm gonna have to do all the body work on the car. And a straight line is just much better to work with. So we're gonna just and that'll kind of help smooth this out and make those edges kind of nicer. I don't wanna put any screws in until I've got it at least closely fitted. All right, so if you notice right there at the very bottom, it's really tight, and up top it's got a gap. So we're gonna cut out right here, right in this area, right down here. See where it's tight right there? We're gonna shave that out. I've got my alignment line right there. I have the Clico pin. I think that's about as good as it's gonna get right there, boys. Now we're gonna hold this in here tightly so it sits in here nice. We're gonna mark a little, go back to the little alignment stud there. So what I'm doing is I'm essentially drilling a little hole in the backside there. And then we'll bolt that up, put a little mark on the bottom back here. And my buddy Rich. Man, Rich is a good dude. You're gonna be seeing a lot of him. He offered to help, and I'm like, yeah, man. Come on over, bro. Come on down. Good dude. You're tired, got plenty of time. What's up, bro? Out here doing big things, man, and I don't mean fat chicks. Morning, man.
Good morning.
Where is that emergency brake cable coming from? Yeah, it should only be, if I'm not mistaken, you've got these 3 bolts here, and then you've got something in the back that kind of holds the whole thing in. Essentially the whole cradle. All right, let's drop this thing out, man. What's it catching on? Looks like there's some kind of line on the back of it, like a hose or something. Here. Oh, yeah? Oh, perfect.
You're working on a car, huh?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. All right, let's see if we can bounce this thing up out of here, man. Push it. I think it might be catching on. Like, I feel like it's something over here in this corner, you know? It could just be the way that it's kind of sitting too, you know? I could just lower it down a little bit, see if it will come down, you know? It's going down more now.
Yeah.
It's pretty much coming out now. There we go, boys. I know how we're gonna get that thing out, bro. I know exactly how we're gonna get that thing out. Yeah, man. We'll move this out of the way. Oh, yeah. Float. Harbor Freight transmission jack. Look at that. Thanks, man. Fuck yeah. That's good. Look at that, man. Woo! Down a little bit more. I think that's probably good right there. This is so satisfying, man, honestly. I think we can stand it up though, probably.
Yeah. All right, so thanks to my friend Rich, we got the diff out. And so I looked at the kit, I got the gkteck stiffening brackets, and it didn't make any sense until I realized I've got to roll it over. So I've got to try to roll it over. I've got my welder out, I got a nice space now. I got to try to roll it over so we can do that. Get it all set up for this weekend. Because we want to try to get this thing back in here the next couple days. We got that transmission coming soon, so man, I don't know if we can do it. We'll see. Got a lot to do. Let's go ahead and take this out. I got a bunch of stuff I'm going to replace on this, do a bunch of upgrades, and I'm going to show you how you can take this into something neat. But check this out though. I don't know if you can see this or not, but right here, if you notice, when I turn this, both sides turn the same. So you know what that means. Drift mode activated, boys. Oh yeah, limited slip diff. Let's go ahead and mark these up. Okay, we got that one marked, and we got this one marked. All right, so you probably think, well, I got to get some weld through primer, and they don't have anything locally. Well, a long time ago, I learned that from a welder, welders don't use that. They use cold galvanizing compound or cold galvanizing spray. It's pretty much the same thing. So you just spray this back here. This seals up this area because on the videos, they don't really show doing that. Now, I'm not too worried about getting paint on this stuff because I am painting this entire thing. If you were overly concerned about that, then I would say don't do that, you know. But this helps ensure that the next owner doesn't have to worry about rust later on because this is going to be sealed inside there. And now that I got that done, now I'm going to spray the back side of this one. We'll set it down. I need some place to put these at. You know what? I'm going to paint them off camera. People always ask me how thick steel is whenever I'm welding it. Like I'm supposed to remember all this stuff. This is 14 gauge steel. So the nice thing about the Harbor Freight welder, and I'm not sponsored by them, I'm not sponsored by anybody really, but the nice thing about it is if you come over here and you hit the setting on the home, you hit that, oops, you do the MIG steel, you hit the home button, then you do MIG steel, and then you tell it the gas, which is 75-25, which you're always going to use. You tell it the wire size, so mine's 35, and then the gauge thickness, which is 14. Oh, it's just 12 and 6, so we'll do 12. And then you just hit enter, and now it's set. It's really that simple. I mean, and of course, I think a professional, which I'm definitely not. I mean, I'm like there's like a professional welder, then there's like the Big Lots welder. I'm not even that good. I'm like a Timu welder. I think that a professional would be like, oh, I want mine a little bit differently. Well, they can do that. But for guys like you and me, we need something that's close to being right. That's what we're looking for, man, if you're wondering. If you've got this all disassembled, you got to put the bolts back in, torque it down to 65 foot-pounds. So we're going to clamp this on here so it's nice and tight. It's nice to not have to make this. Before, I would make all this stuff, take all the time to make a template. To make this right here would take you at least an hour, right? And then you got all these other ones that you have to make. Why? Just buy the kit, man. They're so much easier, you know? Just buy them. They're worth the money, you know? It's like, man. So anytime you're welding, you want to have your gaps nice and tight. So tapping this down like this allows me to get this gap nice and tight. Let's go ahead and tack this up. Now that's all tacked up. Now, I will say that welding thicker metal like this 14 gauge, is much easier than welding on a car, much easier. Just so you know, like, this is a great thing to practice on because you really got to screw things up to mess this up, you know? You can get it nice and hot and stuff like that and stuff, so we're good. I'm gonna put all of them in and then go back and weld them all up. Those are going to be some much nicer welds this time.
All right, so now it's time to put these plates in. We're gonna put them in each side. I've already put the weld through primer on the back side, so we don't have to worry about rust later on. I'm gonna tack all these in, and then when we pull the motor back out, we will fully weld it up. Let's go ahead and lay down a stack of pennies. We put a little tack here. So now that we have the diff out and we have all this welded up fully, now what we need to do is we need to remove these bushings because we want to have those out before we paint. But first we'll get these parts out.
So this definitely took a lot longer than I expected. I really didn't expect it to take so long. The first one, I learned a lot, and if I had better tools, I definitely could have got it out better. What I would recommend is definitely use the air hammer like I'm using. It definitely sped things up, and use it to kind of chisel it up. And if I had just like a straight pin to kind of get in there between the bushing and the frame, I probably could have got this thing out in maybe 5 minutes. But because I didn't have that, I had to use all different kinds of tools. Oh, and also my little chisel there, the tip of it broke off later on. So I couldn't even use my chisel, which made it an absolute nightmare. But, you know, whatever it is, you know, there's always that little part in your car that's going to make you so mad you want to kick a But this happened to be this week's project that I just absolutely hated doing. And hopefully it's going to make a huge difference on the performance of the car. I sure hope so with all the work that I did. Anyway, let's see how long it took.
Well, that wasn't so bad. I'll show you how long the first one was. And now let's see how fast the last one is.
All right, let's mark these. Passenger. Now that we have them marked, we need to take off these boots to get access. Let's take that off. Cut these zip ties off flush. All right. Well, that's leaking right there just to start. So that's terrible. Look at that. Look at all that just nastiness just coming out of there. Let's get a towel for that. That looks like pure nastiness, man. So if there was any question about whether we should do that or not, that right there answers it. Clean this up, shove that right in there. Driver's side is also pretty nasty. All right, let's go ahead and mark this. We take it off. I believe there's a little groove, but we're gonna mark it anyway. There we go. Put a little dot on there so I know this is where it goes. There we go. Take these lines off that I've already loosened. And that. Take these little boots off that look to be a really nice shape. Some lucky guy will get those. Here's 240 build. We'll be putting new ones on there. That if you look, there's a dimple in here. Looks like right there. That sort of locks it in. Now, if you don't drill that out, well, then you're gonna have a problem. So let's drill that out before we do anything else. You don't wanna drill too much, but you do wanna drill through. Not quite yet. There we go. You'll see that it starts to see a different metal almost through. There we go. Now that should be nice and clear. There we go. I believe that's good. I think that's good right there. Now we can see about cracking that loose. All right, so the way I broke this free is I put a wrench on here, which is 21 millimeter. This is 30 millimeter if you have that, but I just took some vice grips. Now this will probably be easier if you do this in the car, but I didn't, so now we're going to undo it. And hopefully when I undo this, I can take the whole thing apart. If not, I'm going to have to do the other ends too, but now that I know how to do it, it's pretty simple. Let's turn this around so you can see then how I do it. Oops, this thing has definitely got fluid all in it. No matter how much you think you got out, there's more. So I put the 19 millimeter on here, set this down. I let gravity do the work. So I lock this here on my bench so I don't have to hold that. Then I've already got this clamped on here. What I like to do is kind of put the weight on it and then just tap it. And that'll break it free a lot of times. If I had a better thing, it would work a lot, but if I had a smaller clamp, it would work a lot better. There we go. Well, this one isn't coming off quite as easy, but we'll get it. Oh, man. There we go. Should be able to slide this out now. Oh, man.
There's still more in there. I think I can clean it all up and put it all back together. I do want to find out what all this stuff is at the bottom though. I feel like it might be part of that bearing or something like that. We're gonna go ahead and wash that out. This is the complete kit that I bought. These are the seals. These are the boots that I bought separately. All right, let's open up this kit. I'm curious. There we go. There. Clean this up first. See what it looks like now. There we go. Just had to pop it out. So now it's completely clean. Let's go ahead and take this out back and use the brake cleaner. Clean it all up. We'll use a filter too to see what we catch. All right, so this is the clean parts box. Let's go ahead and just spray this off, get this nice and clean. That looks nice. It's nice. Yeah, that looks real good. Somebody somewhere is like, oh my God, you just totally ruined that. Cleaned off all the old bad grease. Car looks pretty good. We got this here. Hey, watch out, lizard. Sorry there, I didn't mean to freak you out there, buddy. Clean out this part here. Try to wipe off the main part of the grease before I even start using the brake cleaner, because I feel like brake cleaner is more like just to kind of wash it off. It's not a scrub brush. Otherwise, man, that looks nice. And if you take the time to clean this stuff out, it really does make a big difference. Well, this thing looks really good now that I've cleaned it up. I thought there were actually ball bearings in there. And that's why I sprayed it over this, just to make sure that if they fell out, I could get them. But it's just sort of lined teeth, sort of. Let's go ahead and clean this off. Can't really get in there very good, but we're gonna spray that off. So I like to use the non-chlorinated brake cleaner so I don't end up seeing mushrooms. All those jokes and videos you see about being around brake cleaner, it's true, man, if you don't use the non-chlorinated stuff. All right, we got one more little part to clean, and then we do the big one. And now all these parts are just like brand new again. Wow. All right, so this is the part that I was kind of curious about. I'm gonna try to hold this like this and clean this to see exactly what comes out. Oh yeah, there's all kinds of, man, I tell you what, there's just all kinds of nastiness in there, I tell you. So I think what I'll do is I'll get a pipe and shove it down in there to kind of clean out the inside really good. But other than that, it's a nice clean unit again now. There we go, nice and clean now. And in case you're wondering, that's what was in there. I think it's mostly all just grease. There's a couple little pieces that are like hard plastic that those are probably the seals that got messed up or something like that. I don't really see any metal in here, but it's just a couple little pieces of hard plastic kind of. Anyway, we got it fixed. So push that up, wrap it over, spin it around. Now it's stretched out to this one. There we go. That's on there nice and flush. Do the next one. Once you get past the first one, they kind of slide on nice and easy after that. And then you push it up and you go around. I just don't recommend using your fingernails because then you might break it. Just try to work it around until it gets nice and flush again. And you can push it right in the groove. Good to go again. I always felt like that was probably going to be the hardest part, was getting these rings right here on there on this particular part of it. Especially when I took it apart, I'm like, ooh. But then I remembered a little trick when I was doing the 4L80E transmission, that once you kind of stretch them out, you can put them on and then they shrink back. They're just, they just work like that, you know? If you kind of squeeze them together, it kind of pushes them up, allows them to come back down in the groove nicely. Now we'll let that sit, and that should kind of work back into the right shape. We'll be good to go. Now we've replaced these. We'll put these in the bag so we keep everything nice and tidy. And we know as we replace them that they are done with equal parts. So this one's got to go right in here. So in order to do that, I think I'm going to have to get that washer out of there, those bearings out. So let's go ahead and get those bearings out. Looks like this is about as close as it gets right there. We'll see if that'll work. Can't really tell. It's so close. I don't think so. We're going to try this one instead. There we go. Got the bearing out nice and neat. We'll lube that up. Make that go in there nice and smoothly. There we go. I believe that's nice and flush. We'll set that over. We have these 3 seals going somewhere else. Let's go get the main unit. Let's go ahead and replace this one. So if you one down, and this wasn't supposed to come out. Shoot ski. Okay, right. And clean all the little teeth, clean all the gears. This one gear looks a little bit more worn than the other ones, but you can see that one right there. It's hard to see in the picture. All right, so we're gonna put some of this red grease in here. This will help this shaft. We'll fill it up more after we get in there. We'll kind of pack it full of grease. And then we'll install this bigger seal right here. There we go. Let's cut that. Let's go ahead and lube that up. There we go, there we go. Now we're gonna slide this in here, being careful not to mess up that seal that's there. And now we put the new seal in. Not sure just how we're gonna get that new seal pressed in there really good. Let's see if we can get a big socket in there. Not sure what to do here, guys. I think this will work. It's that deep. That's not gonna be deep enough, I don't think. I think this has gotta go deeper. There we go, I can feel it.
pushing in there now. There we go. Now we can see the depth of this compared to the depth of that, which is perfect. All right, now put this on here. Is there a little seal in there? I think there might be a little seal right in there. I can't really tell. No, I think it's just a metal. Yeah, it's just metal. Okay, let's go ahead and put that on there. We definitely do not want to cross thread this. So let's take our time and line this up perfectly. Go, we'll tighten this up and then we'll knock a dimple in it. I'm not sure just where that seal goes, that little seal. Does it go on here? It doesn't go on there, I don't think. That would be too small. Huh. Well, we know that's in there. I guess I could shine a little light and see. What do you think, guys? Should I shine a little light? I'm guessing this is supposed to go on here with this seal. This is the other one, completely pancaked out. All right, now we slide this in here. Oh, we need to check and see if that's a fitting down in there, don't we? I do not see any sort of washer, any sort of O-ring down there. I am not sure what that O-ring goes to, so we're gonna leave it like it is. I think that goes like this. We're gonna check and see. I believe so. Oh, that's the old one. You can tell. You can tell because it's all yellow in there. Now we're gonna put some more grease in here, but for right now, we're gonna leave it just like it is. So we'll put this on here. I don't think that's supposed to go on there. There we go. That should be good. All right. So the short one goes up top, it looks like, and then this one goes on the bottom. All right, now we get our line wrenches, and you can 100% use regular wrenches, but if you have line wrenches, they are better. Okay, there's that one. Now we'll tighten this one up. Go ahead and tighten this up. Okie dokie. There's that one. Now we'll snug this up. I told her that. Yeah, she was dropping off the books and that French silk pie that's in there. There we go, that. All right, and now for the final thing, we put a little dimple in here. There we go. That should lock it down. Now, I know it's not perfect, but come on, that's so much nicer. And then we have the new steering rack set. Oh, it even tells you which one to use. This, I'm not sure where this goes. I think it goes on here, but I'm not sure. So we'll just leave this off until we're ready. We'll put it on here so we know. All right, now we put the little ends on here. Then we're golden. That feels nice. Feels good. Hopefully I did it right. We'll see. Only time will tell. We're gonna take these out back and clean them because I don't really want to take it off just to put the new boots on there. These boots are fine.
I'm not sure if I'll use these with the new motor and the new exhaust, but I wanted to have them ready. So if I did need to install them during the installation, I would have them ready, you know, because I didn't want to be trying to fix this real quick just to throw them on, because then I would just do crappy work.
Hey, thanks for watching this far. If you haven't already, click like and subscribe, please. Hey, and also, I promised in the video that I would tell you what transmission is coming next week. It's a T56 Magnum. A T56 Magnum is rated for over 700 horsepower right out of the box. Now, a lot of people are running well over 1,000 horsepower. Now, this car's gonna be pushing about 400 probably, nowhere near that limit, but it makes the option so when somebody buys it, they can just jam it up if they want. They could throw some turbos on here, pushing 1,000 horsepower, and it'll handle it all day long. This thing is gonna be a monster. And then once we get that in, then we can do all of the stuff to the motor and the transmission. Then we can order that custom drive shaft. I don't know, we might be able to start work on the paintwork next week. I don't know, we're gonna see. Check out the next episode. Click like and subscribe.